is our third festival. Thank you all for coming this morning. This is a joint festival put on by the Community Hub here, Jean's Bothy, the Mental Health Hub in Helensburgh, and Lomond Care Centre. This is our third year, and this is our biggest year ever. We've got 19 different events across 7 venues. We've had about 150 kids from 5 schools who've already had events, and now we've got the big weekend starting. A few thank yous to the National Trust, who helped us put on events at Hill House. Jenny Colgan's there this afternoon. Helensburgh Heart, the Bridge Awards, the Scandi Shop, who do our book selling, our Gal Community Housing Association, and above all the Scottish Book Trust, because we pay our authors. Not all festivals do, but it's their job, so we think it's right to pay them. So funding is always a bit of a struggle, so we're looking for sponsorship if anyone wants to help anywhere along the lines. But this is a community event, and I think this is the biggest community event of all of them. It's one of our most popular events. It's backed by popular demand. And I think one of the volunteers is going to write down, I think, all the books that we are
That's a really good idea.
So that we'll put it online so you can follow and catch up on anything that these guys are going to recommend. So it's our lovely panel. They're going to introduce themselves now.
So I am Denise. I am a bookseller of 22 years, currently manager in the big Sauchiehall Street branch of Waterstones. My areas, if you like, are Golden Age and classic crime, military history, but I was a children's manager for 7 years as well, so I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, and I hope that the books that I maybe talk about will reflect that.
I'm Fiona Sharkey. I work in the library. I have done for 42 years. I started when I was 5. You'll just get to see what I read, and it's probably nothing like them, but hopefully I'll bring it back to normal people. I don't mean it like that, but yeah. There'll be rubbish book in there now and again.
No such thing.
No, there's no such thing.
I can think of one, but anyway.
Hiya, I'm Susie Dean. I live in Helensburgh. I grew up here. I am a book reviewer. Sadly, that is a hobby and not a paid profession. If anybody's in the room that can make that happen, please let me know. I've always been a reader, and then just in the pandemic I started reviewing books on social media, and now publishers send me books for free, so it's great. Yeah, highly recommend it.
How many books do you read a year?
About 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Anyone beat that?
Some people read a lot more. Yeah, there's people reading 30, 40 books a month. But I have a full-time job, 2 children, and a husband and a very demanding dog.
So that's the panel, but the rest of the panel is all you guys. This was originally conceived as being like a book group. So we want to hear lots from you about what you're reading and your opinions on any of the books, good or bad, that we talk about today. The first one I'd like to actually bring up is a book that's technically a children's book, or maybe YA, which is Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the latest in the Hunger Games books, which came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's been an absolutely massive seller. I've got a young reader at home who finished it last night and said it's the best of all of them. I've read the first 3 and I think they're brilliant. And I just wonder what you guys think and what effect that has on getting people into shops and getting people into the library, big series like that.
We in Glasgow decided to host, there's this new thing that not just Waterstones are doing, but we're doing authorless events. So it used to be we couldn't run an event unless we could get the author in, but when you get to the kind of stage that something like Suzanne Collins and Sunrise on the Reaping's on, we can't have access to the authors. So we found we had about 80 people turned up on a wet and rainy night to throw rubber darts at paper-made dartboards to evoke Hunger Games. There was such affection for it, and actually in its first week of sales, it outstripped the entire sales of something like Onyx Storm, if any of you have heard of that, big in the kind of romanticy scene. So I think as people who've been in it for a couple of decades, thought I might do all right, but it'll do fine. It has just astounded us, but I was saying to Robin earlier when we were chatting that I think the affection for it is from the young readers who read it first time, and they've still got the appetite for the new, like some new words, some new pages to turn, and I think that's very much a trend in publishing at the minute is what can we revisit, what can we give those kind of waiting consumers, what will they put £20 down for, and the Suzanne Collins was definitely a big example of that.
It's Haymitch's story, isn't it? It's
Yes.
a Woody Harrelson character
Yes.
from Hunger Games.
The best
It's his
character,
story.
yes.
It does help that there's films right enough as
100%.
well, to
It
get the
does,
kids
it does,
involved.
yeah.
We don't have it yet because there was a moratorium, so we couldn't buy books for ages. But Hunger Games still brings people in to buy it, to
Do
borrow the
big series
books.
like that, people will come back. and-
Absolutely, yep, and you'll get, they're the type of ones you get a list for. Not often with a kid's book, they all love it, but yeah, but no, they love the Hunger Games. Anything like that, Twilight, that has a wee go again as well, because we've got them, but we're willing to get that one in.
Can I ask just what is the situation with the library? Where are we? What's happening?
This is not supposed to be a controversial.
It's okay, and I'm not going to sit in the fence. I'm just going to say it's rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. They've decanted me to a smaller, much smaller building. They've got rid of a lot of my books, so I no longer have full sets of things. I no longer have things I could go and put my hands on. There was a moratorium on, but hopefully from the 1st of April I will be able to buy again.
You could have given them to us, you could have donated them
They could
here.
have done this anywhere, absolutely. But yeah, so it is what it is. It's a lovely place at the park. I love it at the park. I've got more and more footfall from children, but the adults is a wee bit squished. But it's fine. It's probably going to be for at least a year, and even then I'm not sure I'll get back to my old place.
We will be
It's
keeping eyes
down
on
to
that
us to make
it
sure that
doesn't.
the library
Yeah.
goes back to the library.
So that we don't all,
Yeah.
because that was gifted. They started off at Templeton Library, which was gifted to the town, and then they sold that on, but they purpose-built a library that you needed to get scaffolding to change a light bulb. And yes, and things like that, but I loved it. That was my happy place.
So before we go on to these piles of books that you guys have got, can you just talk a bit about how people find out about books and where you guys find out about books? Is it through social media or friends? What's the biggest sort of pusher of?
Well, for me, it's definitely social media. I spend far too much time on there, even though I still manage to read a lot of books. But yeah, so definitely on social media, or just browsing. I love coming up to Waterstones or to like a bookshop and just having a good browse, seeing what the booksellers have recommended. I'm definitely drawn by the cover.
We all are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
well,
say don't judge the book by the we know we all do. We know we all
We
do.
totally
That's the whole
do.
point.
That's where we
isn't
spend
it?
our budget, the shiny covers and the sprayed edges.
Because sometimes the
Yeah.
blurbs give away too much as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the cover and existing authors I've seen. Yeah.
And recommendations as well.
100%.
A lot of people will maybe come in and say, oh, that was magnificent. But yeah, it's trying the new stuff.
Yeah, we're definitely heavy on the social media, mostly Instagram, Bookstagram.
TikTok.
A lot of us as booksellers engage in that, and we're on like personal accounts and things as well. Waterstones shops have their own Instagrams, but
the book top table, don't you?
we've got a book top table. That's a new thing. So, like I said, 22 years I've been doing it. Last year was the first year we got a book top table. Although we call it a trending table, I'm not allowed to call it a book top table. But yeah, and huge appetite for it. So the sales from there and the inquiries are definitely led by the social medias. Us as booksellers, I'm probably quite an old-fashioned traditional bookseller. We engage with the publishers, we see what's coming up. I'm very fortunate that I get sent lots of early advanced copies, and then we're gorgeous customers that I've been dealing with for 20 years, and one bookshop and another will say, I really fancy her, could you find? So we go source, and then that's exactly what we do. However, I am in a position, we're a very busy shop. They'll say to me, do you want 5 copies of that?
Aye.
No problem, I don't have a moratorium. So it's a very different style of book selling. But I have been in the smaller shops where you need to cut your cloth and it's demand led. And then back in the day it used to be, right, Denise, what do you love? And for me it was always Agatha Christie's, Clifford Whitting's, A. Milne. So I would drop a wee one of them into the basket when I was buying, and over time you kind of build your library. But I think we would negate the importance of social media if we didn't all mention it, because even I think kids being led into libraries, they're talking to their friends in school and quite often they're picking it up on the social media, so it's a huge platform,
Yeah.
definitely.